Hey kids, welcome to the program. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. That's the big website you get to go to, or that's the big phone number you get to call. The lovely and talented Sheila. Ourhealthyhomes.com, there it is. That's the website, ourhealthyhomes.com. Check it out.
A new, better picture.
A new and improved, yes, better picture of Our Healthy Homes. You got to go and see it. I challenge you to the logging in apparatus on Our Healthy Homes.
And before you log in, text me what color you think is a part of it.
Okay. What is the color?
Pink, if anybody
knows
me, right?
What else would it be?
What else would it be? Ourhealthyhomes.com. Okay, so before we get rolling, we got Bob Wilbanks on the program. We're going to be talking about community and groups longevity. Good conversation. But before we get rolling, Sheila has a sales pitch that she wants to do for you on the Muffin Top Meltdown.
There's so much to talk about, right? And I get my news feeds, of like what's the topic of the week and things like that. And today, all my news feeds were talking about parasites and how that relates to cancer and other issues. And so I wanted to touch on, the muffin top. When we have parasites, bad bacteria, yeast overgrowth, all the things, that's where it's typically housed, is in that.
It's going to collect.
Okay, yes, it's going to collect. And so that is just one of the elements of the muffin top as far as the processes that we have to go through to open the pathways of the body, clear the pathway, do the parasite cleansing. We talk about water a lot. One of my news feeds today was, I'll give you guys a chance to play a game. What's the percent of forever chemicals in tap water?
The percent of forever chemicals, like Teflon.
The forever chemicals that are never going to be able to leave your body.
Okay. What is the percent?
Yeah.
2%, I don't know.
I'm going 1.5.
45%.
No
Get
way.
out of town.
Come on.
45%.
What's the
of
source
tap
on there?
water
What's the documentation?
Could.
There it is.
Right? Could have one or more of the forever chemicals. So I kind of teased you a little bit. I did on that one. But those forever chemicals are linked to cancer, high cholesterol, thyroid disease, liver damage.
So what you're saying is there's a 45% chance that one of those forever chemicals is in your drinking water.
Yes.
In the water that your
tap water.
Your tap water that you're feeding your children.
And your pets.
And your pets.
And yourself.
Okay.
You weren't saying there's 45% of
No.
those chemicals.
No, I was.
It's 45%. Right. Okay. That's a little bit better. Okay. I feel like maybe we got a chance now.
Yeah, we got 60% chance we're not going to die.
So, with that muffin top program, right, it is about a bunch of things, right? And so if we have time and we want to dive in deeper into them later, but water is one of the first things we're going to talk about, and what's your source of water and where are you getting it? And that's a biggie, right?
I'm a water guy.
Yeah, and we have a distiller.
So I drink a lot of water, rinse it over coffee beans every day.
No,
I rinse it over coffee beans.
A ton of water in coffee.
Yes.
It doesn't count.
And then
I bet you there's more than 45% of water in coffee.
I bet there is too.
Right. So water's a biggie, and people just, they think it's so simple, right? But isn't really, if we take everything in life, isn't it really so simple?
Yeah.
If we break it
down.
Do
the basics.
Right? Go back to the basics. Yes.
Do the work and God will make you lucky. That's what I always say.
Yes. So one of the other elements in this Muffin Top program that we're going to go through is, where are your blood sugars?
Okay.
Right? So we have to know.
That's a little tougher.
Well, it really, knowing, you mean?
No, I mean just dealing with them.
Doing?
Yeah.
The doing of it? Yes and no, depending on where you're at. If you're already type 2, it might be a little bit harder, but if you know that you're pre-diabetic, which
so I'm 110.
So you're pre.
I'm right. And I've been 110 forever. Ever since I started measuring, I'm 110.
Yeah.
So no matter what I eat, so I go on carnivore, and it's 110. It's just like, well, my body's 110. That's what it is. That's normal for me. That's the way I figure it.
But I think he puts sugar on his steak.
No, don't do that. I don't do that. But,
no,
but I thought of it this morning because you were roasting some potatoes.
Yes.
And I thought, potatoes and you put a little brown sugar on them. It's like, well, potatoes, that's sugar. It's going to be
It's a
sugar.
starch.
Right.
Yep.
And then you put sugar on top of sugar. Tastes so good.
Right.
Now let's look at that. Like, somebody brought up, oh my gosh, potatoes, right? That's bad. It's a carb. Okay, it's different than having
refined sugar.
French fries.
Oh.
Okay.
What makes the difference?
Well,
They're just potatoes.
French fries are they're preservatives because they're made. You go to the fast food stores. I'm like, I don't know what they are. I don't even go anymore. Right? It's so processed. The French fries are so processed, and then you put it in that horrible canola oil. And so you've tainted that so-called good potato versus taking a potato that's organic that you've cleaned with good vegetable and
Don't be disrespecting French fries.
No, I'm not.
Because
but you can make your own fries.
Exactly.
You can
take when we had the restaurant, we made our.
We did. Yep. Right.
Burbank potatoes. Boom. Made fries. Dropped them in the toxic oil. And
right. Once we put it in the toxic oil, then we took that back. So anyway, my point is that you can have the potato. It's just which way are you going to have it and what's it going to. Anyway, so back to we're getting off.
Yeah.
So blood sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So we can manage that, right? That's an important piece of losing that belly for sure. I think you guys are both fasters, aren't you?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
You guys have. I know Keith has fasted before, Bob.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So the thing with fasting is it's just okay. We're just talking about caffeine before we got in. All right. So the thing with fasting is that if you've never fasted before and you drink a lot of caffeine, if you go straight into fasting, you could have some issues with your adrenals because of the amount of caffeine that you're taking in and then that shock to the body of the fasting. So it depends on how long, right? So
it depends if you drink coffee while you're
right.
I mean,
who said you have to fast coffee? Keith?
Exactly.
Right.
You never said that I stopped drinking coffee because I drink coffee through.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. But there's the point of it is that when you're going to start with fasting, if you've never fasted before, there's a method to it, right? And you're going to probably start out with maybe a meal first. Like if you've really truly never fasted, we want you to have success too, right? So let's just have, one
skip
meal
breakfast.
that you skip, right? And then we'll move into a 12-hour, then we'll work it up to, 14 and that kind of thing. But a lot of people, let's face it, just can't go from 0 to 10.
Well, and there's a lot of different types of fasting.
Sure.
You're talking about actual abstinence from food where you're just staying away completely and maybe just drinking water during that period of time.
Right.
You can do things like the Daniel fast or some of those other things where there's fruit intake, nuts, those types of things. You're just fasting certain types of food or even caffeine.
Or even caffeine. Or we love the lemonade, the Master Cleanse, So fasting is a piece of this Muffin Top program as well.
If you eat dinner at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and then just don't eat after dinner, and go to bed and wake up, and then don't eat until lunch, you've done your 18-hour, 16-hour fast. It's just like it's so easy to do. You're skipping breakfast.
It's easy for you to do, and you've done a lot of fasting. But when you're starting out on something totally new,
you're sleeping most of the time. How tough can it be?
Depends on when you go to bed and get up, but
yeah.
You're right, but we want to do the baby steps, and we want and everybody's different, right? So how long is it going to take for me? Well, I don't know. It depends on where you've been and what you've done and those kind of things.
Okay.
So that's why you have to work with somebody, right? Is because you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people that start something, some sort of cleanse, that kind of thing, they'll feel crappy and then they'll just give up, right? Yeah. So there's a process to everything, and the route that I do it and the way that I do it and the order that I do it.
It's baby steps.
There's a reason for it. I want you to succeed, and I want you to have the end result that you can totally have.
And it's 100% guaranteed. Works every single time if you just do it.
Now, there's more than that
to
this Muffin Top
Oh, yeah.
program,
Yeah.
but we got to go out to break.
Okay, we come back. We'll be with Bob Wilbanks. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the program. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194, ourhealthyhomes.com. All right, so we're going to talk about, I like aging. Well, I don't like aging, but I like talking about longevity. I like studying about longevity. In fact, Sheila and I are going down to Palm Beach in the end of March or in the middle of middle of March to a health and wellness seminar on aging or on longevity. Really looking forward to it because it ties in the whole notion of real estate, healthy lifestyle, healthy living, our healthy homes into longevity. In the blue zones, if you're interested in the blue zones or know what they are, the blue zones are areas of the world where people live to be, there's large population of centurions, people over 100. Are the number of people that are living over 100 is increasing at a quite a rapid rate, actually. Around the world, especially in the United States. And so one of the things on interviewing the people who are living in these communities or studying them, not necessarily interviewing them, but they found that they live and commune within their community. When I'm talking about that is like their family, their church. They're very connected with like-minded people. And so Bob is here. He's going to share about G7 for one thing, which is a like-minded community of business people. So why don't you tell us a little bit, first tell the listeners what is G7, where did it stem from, what
the why.
Yeah, what's the why of it? Because all businesses are answering a question of a why, have a reason for existing. What is G7?
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for having me on here. G7 exists to connect Christians to build trusted relationships that grow them and their business. So it's a twofold mission and purpose that's behind it. The first piece to this is about driving business for our members. And driving business is different than just doing business together.
Mm-hmm.
We can certainly do business together, but driving business requires us to build trusted relationships so that we're willing to put our spheres of influence to work for the others in our chapter. Think of it like, I build a trusted relationship with you. I get to know what your needs are personally, professionally, and spiritually, and then I can go to my spheres of influence and bless into your life with those connections when you need them. I like to think that as we build those trusted relationships, each one of them inside of a chapter is developing and cultivating fertile ground.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus talked about that. The fertile ground will yield 30, 60, and 100 fold. Now, it's important, though, because I think the matters of the heart is what God really sees, right?
Yep.
That we're doing it for the right reasons. We truly are blessing into the lives of others without expecting any return, and that's what really, I think, it's like the fertilizer or the rain to the fertile ground that really helps it go that 30, 60, 100 fold. So that's the first side of it. And then the primary purpose is to just provide a place where people can be connected and grow in their spiritual growth. Where two or more gather in his name, he's there. We tend to grow as we develop those relationships with each other because we learn from each other's experiences and our takes on the Word of God. Mm-hmm. And so we see that happen. Plus, we've cobbled together just an enormous amount of resources that we, as of right now, have kind of thrown against the wall for our members, and that's coming into focus in a much more succinct delivery methodology that will really help people pick tracks that are specific to what their needs are to really grab for that next rung on their spiritual growth ladder. So that's G7.
And there are chapters all over, right? All over Minnesota, and you've gone into, what other states are you into now?
We are currently in 11 other states, so it's hard for me to name them all off. And actually, there's at least a dozen additional chapters. They're going to put us up over 20 states in the country here by probably the mid to late April. We'll have all those active. We also have virtual chapters that are forming now by time zone. Those have been very popular. And what we really found is at the top level of this, there is no membership fee or anything like that. Think of it almost like a LinkedIn type environment. We just invite the Christian community to come in and start connecting. From there, if you find a chapter or a group, there's membership fees and so forth. But we do have a completely complimentary level that brings Christians together to start connecting with one another.
Which is brilliant, really. I mean, you stop to think about it, because like LinkedIn, you can go to LinkedIn free, get an account free, and then if there's additional services or if you want to go deeper within that particular framework, you can for a fee, and that's expected.
Right. And there's quite a bit of free resources that are out there and free connectivity that's there for you. So a lot of people are just living right there. But, we are going to be very aggressive about that in the very near future. We have a few more I's to dot and T's to cross with the infrastructure that's behind this thing. But we're thinking by late March, first part of April, we'll really start getting out to LinkedIn to invite people to come over to a community where they can feel safe, be encouraged, and not to leave LinkedIn, but to get back into the fray, right?
The in-person
get back into
community.
Right.
Yep.
Get back in there and keep moving.
There's no level of where you need to be in your Christian faith in order to participate, correct?
Right. And you don't even need to be Christian to come in and join. That's not a requirement. Just know that you are coming into a Christian community where there will be gospel, prayer, God stories, and
so don't gripe about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, or if it's going to be uncomfortable to you, then
and maybe it's not for you, and that's okay.
Yeah,
we're okay with that.
And we've had people in our chapter where they were just at this point, they weren't ready for that, and this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and so they thought they were in just another networking group, and didn't realize that there was this has more layers to it than a typical networking group.
Correct.
At one of our chapters, there was somebody that came in and gave us the stat on how deep we go with our referrals, and what was that other nationality that, you know what I'm talking about?
So, yeah, statistically speaking, this comes from a book called Evangelpreneur from Josh Tolley. I don't know how many books I've sold for Josh, but he did some great work, and he found that the Muslim community recirculates a dollar 14 to 16 times.
Okay, say that again.
The Muslim community recirculates a dollar 14 to 16 times before it leaves their community.
And that is in their community supporting
each other,
right?
Intentionally.
Right, intentionally,
and
that's
the
big.
Jewish community is 10 to 12 times, and Christians are less than once.
That's pretty sad.
So I believe it's time for Christians to get more intentional about not only doing business together, but driving business for one another, not so that we can attain 10 to 12 or 14 to 16 times recirculating a dollar, but so that we can bless into the lives of more people. It just activates the actions that we can take to really have impact within our world if we support one another.
Right. You mentioned getting together and having the conversations around whatever topic, our God moment is, or whatever of the day.
What are the G's? What are the?
We'll get back, but
Okay.
let me ask my question.
Okay.
And so we host a chapter, and us three are in it. So we get together once a month, and that's every chapter, right? Every chapter is once a month?
Every chapter is once a month. There are several that do other meetings throughout the month,
Okay.
but it's not required.
Okay, so once a month is required. All right. And so last month, we had a really good conversation around, what Amy's view was and what Mike's view was. And so it's such a treat to be able to be in an environment where I know nobody's going to go off on the handle just because of what their thoughts are and what their belief is. And together we just try to bring out what that message is in the Bible, and like you said, everybody looks at it differently.
Right. Well, everybody that is in our chapter, at least, professes to be Christian, identifies as Christian, and we all have different upbringings and viewpoints and faith walks that we've been on, different religions that we've embraced, and you take someone from the Catholic community and put them in with a somebody from the Baptist side of religion, and you can have some conflict here and there on opinion on what's there, but what we focus on is the common ground. What is the common ground that we all can agree to? Right. And if we can just start from there and then agree to disagree on the rest. I love a piece of conversation, and I know we're getting close to our time here, where we talk about having a closed hand, open hand type of a viewpoint on this. What are the things that we will not let go of, and the rest of it we just need to have an open hand and agree to disagree. And move on.
Right.
Or not claim to be all-knowing about it.
Correct.
Because
be open to input.
Yeah. When we come back, I want to talk about the challenges.
I
don't know what the 7 G's are. And then I want to talk about the challenges of building this practice. What are some of the fears that you personally have about it and that you find that business people have about it, about joining and professing to belong to a Christian business organization? This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. Got to go out and pay some bills right now. Best part of the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. Check it out. Go there. Up at the top, you're going to see 2 pink buttons. One of them is for the Muffin Top Meltdown, and one of them is for the 14-day reset, or whatever you want to say. Restart, reset. We'll talk about it later.
Is there an update with that?
It's a re-something. All right. So Bob Wilbanks is here from G7. So we're talking about Christian business networking. Which I take it as marketplace ministry, in that it gives me the chance to live out my life in a Christian-like manner, doing business and trying to be a light, if you will, that shines and connects with the people that I touch throughout my business life. What are the elements of G7? What are the 7 G's?
So each meeting we just go through 7 steps, which are the gospel. So we start with gospel and prayer. We move into group introductions, and that's where each individual has a chance to just share something a little bit more personal. It's not an elevator pitch like you see in most networking groups. Then we move into grade, and this is a big differentiator for G7. Most networking groups, you get to grade. It's how many referrals have we passed, right? And in our group, we manage more towards the behaviors that will drive the business and drive the spiritual growth, which are the one-to-one meetings with other members and inviting guests. Guests are the lifeblood of any networking group, regardless of whether they're going to join the chapter or not. Who knows what that guest might need that the other members have, or what the members might need that the guest has.
And anybody can visit anytime.
Anybody can visit anytime, absolutely. Now, the one stipulation I would have to that is that we do have, there's business categories. So if your business category is taken, we want to protect that other member so they get a chance to first right of refusal of that guest coming or not. Okay. Then we move into a God moment, and that's where we either just popcorn Godcidences, just things that have happened in our life over this last month, or
good
somebody
or bad.
gives good or bad, absolutely. And we get an opportunity to perhaps hear a testimony from one of our members of how they came to Jesus and how their walk is going. Then we move into grow. That's biblically based content that helps people grow personally, professionally, or spiritually. And then the get and the give, which is really your more traditional end to a networking group where you have your elevator pitch, your ask, and then who can you help. One difference in G7 that occurs there is we get a lot of prayer requests and resource requests versus I need business. And that's a big difference over every networking group I've ever been in.
The thing that there's so much that I love about it, but my favorite part probably is the times that a person is troubled, or like just last month you ask who has lost, who's had a death, in the last year or whatever, and everybody raised their hands, right? So during the times that our daughter-in-law was sick, and other people's parents were sick and things like that. The praying and the crying and the support, that is actually my favorite piece of it. Is knowing that if I cry, it isn't like I'm going to get looked upon as
Weak.
Weak. Yes, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or, maybe you're having troubled business times too.
Yeah.
I'm really in need of some business. And you go to other networking groups and say something like that, and typically people will, step away because
Right.
it's like, I don't want to be on that sinking ship.
Right.
Yeah.
Where here it's more all hands on deck and let's figure this out and how can we help. And so it's community. We're talking about community today, and it's going through the good times and the bad together. We are not trying to replace the church,
Right.
but we are certainly another bastion of faith that's available to our members to come to, that's in the marketplace. So these are people that are dealing with the same things in the business life as you probably are. One of the stipulations that's out there is, and it's not a requirement, but I'm saying probably 99% of our members will have top line revenue responsibility as part of what they do in their job or work, right? So they have to drive revenue as part of it. We're typically not seeing like a CEO of a Fortune
Sure.
500 company come sit down and be part of a G7 networking.
Right.
It's just not part of it. Or, somebody that's putting widgets together in the back of a factory. That's two different ends of the spectrum. Nothing against either one. It's just, it's probably not the place for you. This is more about the sale. I always like to say there's rudders in business and there's the sale in the business that's driving the business. And so if you are the sale in the business or have top line revenue responsibility, this is a great place to come, especially if you identify as Christian.
So if you are listening, and there's a lot of people that go to networking groups,
Yeah.
right? And they're 7:30 in the morning. I mean, I love ours because
Right.
it's lunch time, but whatever. You can go on g7networking.com. Okay, didn't know if it was org or not. So g7networking.com.
Right.
And you can mess around, find a chapter, see what
Check it out.
see
You,
what
you have to
professions
fill
are
out
in
your
those
profile. You have to
Okay.
fill out your profile. Then you have access.
Then you have access, okay?
To
But
all
the
those
profile
things.
doesn't cost anything.
Profile, no credit card required or anything.
Okay.
Right.
Check it out and visit some of the chapters and just
See if it's
if it's right for you. And I would say if you are just in need of prayer and you really don't have a place that you feel safe right now, come and join us for that.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. And networking gets a bad rap out there, I think.
Yeah, it does. Right.
It's relational. If we boil it down to the relationship, that's what's really happening here. People think networking is going to a big event and passing a bunch of cards out.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's
right.
prospecting.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Networking is being intentional about building trusted relationships so that you can use your spheres of influence to bless into the lives of others and create that fertile ground.
And most of the time when you're in, well, at least for a group like ours, it's we work with you all the time because your wife takes pictures for us for our real estate. But most of the time, it's like the best time is someone out in the world there will ask me, "Do you know somebody?" And they ask us all the time, "Do you know of somebody?" And we belong to a lot of networking groups, and I was never a networking group guy because I just didn't like it. Sheila has, and it's always the same old thing. Hey, got a referral for me, and sometimes you don't, I don't know if I'd refer anyone to him or not because I have no idea who this guy is or who she is and how good they're going to be at it. This gives an eye. First of all, you're comfortable going in because at least you know that you're like-minded and that you share the same belief system. That's not to say that they're particularly good at their job or anything
Right,
else. It's just
right.
that, but at least you've got a foundation
base.
to build relationship on. Then it's once you start attending and getting to know people, you get a sense of how they do their business and how they work and where where their expertise lies and whatnot. And then there's a comfort there in opening up my sphere, because I don't refer anybody typically to anyone unless
Unless
used
we've
the
used
service.
them.
You
Yep.
know,
Or
plumbers,
their
electricians, and all that stuff. Before I give their name out to somebody, they've been in my house doing work,
Right.
so I can see what they do. So that is where the community part comes from, because you're not strangers coming in and kind of drifting through the group. Someone's in there, they're in there for a year and they're gone. They're in there for 6 months and then they don't show up, or 2 meetings and then they don't show up anymore. There is a real community that is going on in there, and these are, like you said, that most of them are independent business people.
Right.
They own their business. They're trying to work and build a business and serve their customers and live out their lives in a Christian-like manner. And when I say a Christian-like manner, there is something behind that. And in our culture right now, if you go out and say I'm a Christian, it's almost like you got one mark against you.
Right.
Because you're not secular and you're.
That's how I felt in the sauna today.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, when me and a Christian friend were having a conversation, and I wasn't looking at the people in the sauna, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
All right. You don't need to see them. You don't need, and he said, maybe we should be a little bit more quiet. I said, maybe I should be a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think, I do think there's a certain amount of that it's certainly there. But in comparison to where it was, 8 or 9 years ago,
Right.
To me, you go out and start talking about faith at work 8 or 9 years ago, people are like, what are you even talking about?
Yes,
Mhm.
right.
You got to check your faith at the door.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and now I think we've broken that ground.
I think so
and
too.
and we can be the salt and the light and do it effectively, right?
Yes, yes.
Where we're not, just running over people.
This is
Right.
Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com, 651-775-9194. Someone's listening, wants to join G7. You go to G7 Marketing
Network.
Networking. Oh, man.
God, what is it?
I'm telling you.
G7networking.com.
All right, we'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes. We're here with Bob Wilbanks. We're talking about G7, G7networking.com.
I love that.
Huh?
There we go.
All right.
There's our jingle.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway,
what?
nothing.
All right. I want to know a couple of things. What are the challenges for you in growing this network across the country? What fears do you have personally about it? And what fears do you find in talking to business people do they have about it? And what seems to be the hurdles?
So I'll come back to the personal ones because I think it starts with some of the fears that we face every single day with people that we talk with. And I think the first most prevalent one is I've never been burned so bad as when I did business with another Christian.
Mm-hmm. Or proclaim to be a Christian.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And-
because you hear that
I
sometimes.
think we've all
Oh,
got
I
stories.
hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I hear it almost every single conversation I
Right.
have. And it's true. It's absolutely true. And I'm convinced that 95% of the reason why it's true is we have a certain amount of a trust bond that is there when we are with people of like mind and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
We have a natural Holy Spirit
Yep,
connection.
yep.
Right.
Yep.
And it tends to let our guard down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we skip a lot of the process that we would normally take if we were just doing business normally with somebody else that wasn't like-minded.
Right.
We don't establish the expectations on both sides of the agreement. And a lot of times we even skip the agreement. It's like, let's just have
Yeah,
you over
let's
and
just go.
let's go,
Yeah.
right? Well, now I don't know what your expectations are, and I'm working harder than I've ever worked to try and please you, and you thought you were getting this, and that, and pretty soon the whole thing just gets to be real messy. So I believe that if we just follow proper process, onboard your faith-filled friends that are coming aboard with your business and doing business with you the same way you would anybody else,
Mm-hmm.
follow the process, follow the procedure, establish all those things, you will have an amazing experience after amazing experience. And that's what we see within the network. As people truly do engage in business using proper business principles, they have the best experiences that they've ever had. It's like, man, I wish I was working with more people of like-minded spirit. Matter of fact, I'm going to be more intentional about that. And then it continues to grow. The other side of it was something we were kind of hinting at when we went to break. And that is how bold can I be?
Mm-hmm.
How bold can I be? And isn't that going to impact my business? And, you're going to have to deal with that on your own. You're going to have to judge whether or not you're ready to take that leap of faith. But I can tell you just from experience, and you can look at the evidence of the Chick-fil-A's and the Hobby Lobbies and those that have just...
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Completely against conventional wisdom to close on Sunday.
Yes, right.
In those businesses, and yet look at them. They're the market leaders by far. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Right? So, I think it's that leap of faith. It's take that next step, right? And just... maybe it's baby steps. Just give it a whirl. Watch how God blesses you and blesses what's there. Now, as that starts to happen, I will also guarantee this. You're going to get headwinds, and there's going to be a lot of resistance.
Right, yes.
Okay? So be prepared. That's where you need your community.
Yes.
Right? For the encouragement to continue down that path.
I got a question for you. So as somebody we've owned a number of businesses, and hiring people has always been, and still remains today, a huge challenge to hire people. And when we had the restaurants, it was kind of, I always wanted to have people that were like-minded with me. And it seems like to hire someone that is like-minded, there's no place to go. And then you have to be very careful about how you interview people, and
you're certainly not going to be asking.
You're not going to be asking. So, what is a solution for that? For the person who's trying to build a business and wants to have their employees share their beliefs.
So I would encourage everybody just to go out and visit a site. We have a new partner, and it's going to be announced later on this evening or perhaps tomorrow morning. It just depends on when we get the final language all worked out on both sides. As I left here today, we had approved language, but now it has to kind of filter through.
Right.
Filter through.
So you'll see this coming out. We have partnered with Red Balloon, which is a conservative, liberty-minded, freedom-minded job board. It's where people can go post their resumes if they're not interested in all of the kind of baloney that's going on out there these days about limitations of, what you can say and how you can. I mean, what happened to America, right?
Right.
And this is it's a grassroots movement to really get back to what made America great. And I'm excited for it because they've had amazing success so far. That launched back in 2021. And they already have over 3,500 employers across the country posting jobs into here. Tens of thousands of resumes are in there from people that want to find jobs at companies where there are people of like mind, so to speak. There's no requirement that you're Christian. There's no requirement of political affiliation or anything like that. It's just that, we're going to get back to the basics and do business the way business was intended here in this beautiful country of ours, the United States of America. Right. So you can check it out. I think the best place to go, please use this final tag that I'll give you on here, is redballoon.work/G7. Go to the /G7, please, because then it tags that you came through G7, which is important to us.
Right, which is important to us, important to them, because, as a business and any business, we want to know where things come from, right? Yep.
So redballoon.work/G7.
And that is a job board like any of the other job boards that are out there.
Just like Indeed or any of those types of things.
Any other ones. It just and when you post on there as someone who's seeking employment and put your resume out there, who's looking at that. Right? Because it's probably going to be companies that are more like the Chick-fil-A type of philosophy that are looking for employees on those sites. Although that same employee could be posted on every other job board in the country, it doesn't matter. But
I was talking to a friend of mine before coming in here on the phone, actually, as I was driving here, and he has a manufacturing company up in the northwest side of town, and he has his company he put his profile out there, but he didn't post any jobs. He said, I never know what jobs are going to be open or whatever, and he said, I've already found. He said, I've been out there for the past year. Gary Borgendale from here, from Salem Media, actually had told him about it about a year ago. And he said, I found like my last 6 employees just by going out and surfing the resumes out there.
Oh, interesting.
So
not even posting a job,
even have to post jobs.
He needs something, so I'm going to go out and see who's out there that meets my requirements and then give him a ring-a-ling and see what happens.
That's it.
Yeah. How wonderful is that? And the ability for people now it's almost like you got to fly under, you got to do these, surreptitiously look around, and you can't just be straightforward anymore. But I guess that's the way our country has turned, because you're going to get what do you call it when they try to wipe you out, disconnected or whatever it is.
Are you gonna put yourself on there for the divorce and real estate specialist?
Might
you'll be canceled.
Yeah, I was just going to say canceled.
It's
That's what it is.
It's a cancel culture.
Get canceled.
There you go.
I was going to recommend that Sheila put her resume out there.
Yeah.
So that brings up,
Maybe
kind
get a job.
of the second part of your question was what's my greatest fear, and my greatest fear has kind of been twofold. One thing is, as you can tell, I have no problem talking.
Right.
I'm a vocal person. Before I got into this, and before I was miraculously saved from an alcohol addiction and some other things, I was just type A, go crazy, get out there and, see that hill, let's go take it, right?
Back when you were with Realtor.com.
And, yeah, absolutely. And it was all about me. It was all about money. It was all about all those other things. So as I jump into the lake of my faith versus just dipping my toe in the water. Yep. I've had a lot of trepidation about myself, about being vocal and getting in the limelight and beginning to speak. And I'll just share that, through a lot of quiet time and a lot of work on myself and with the help of a lot of other people and just being in the Word and a lot of prayer, I did hear a word, which was, I trust you. Mm-hmm. And if I can have that, then I think I can maybe start to trust myself and start being a little more vocal and getting out there and making things happen. The second piece to that is, as that starts to happen and we take these stands that we're starting to take and we get more vocal, we do have an enemy out there, and the cancel culture is real. Being canceled is definitely something that we have our eyes on. So those would probably be the two primary things.
And how would that look? It's just like when you have people of faith marching in lockstep together, trying to help their customers, and living and working in such a way that is honorable and honest and straightforward and open and welcoming. You can't cancel that.
Correct.
There's no way to cancel that.
I think it's very similar to what happened with like Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby, and all of those, right? There was a lot
They tried,
and it just actually, God used it for good.
Right.
And that's what I have to have faith in and step into. So, I feel pretty comfortable about where God has us right now. We're positioned really well, and we're excited for what 2024 is going to bring as we continue to develop this community of faith.
G7 marketing. Nope, networking. G7 networking. G7networking.com.
You sound like the carpet commercial.
I love it.
This is Our Healthy Homes, ourhealthyhomes.com. 651-775-9194. 651-775-9194. I would encourage you to go to G7networking.com and check it out. Just register, fill out the form, see what's in there, attend a meeting or two, and see if it's right for you. If not, super duper. If it is right for you, great. Welcome to the community.
And if you know somebody that it is right up their alley,
bring them in.
Send it to them.
But when he calls me sugar, I love that man with all my might. Sugar in the morning, sugar in the afternoon. When he calls me that name, it does things to me. I tell him, honey, you can call me sugar.